sacred ancestral memory, being mixed, be like, yes, it's not easy to be a mixed person and deal with ancestral memory, because when you are reaching on such a high level, you definitely have to choose one side, and that sometimes is a little bit difficult if you are already infused with the environment that you are living in, and if that is opposite from the memory that you are actually choosing, then it's going to be in a contrast with each other that is conflicting, and that can be sometimes very difficult. So as a mixed person, you always have to balance out your life as your soul journey and your spiritual journey, and that sometimes can be very challenging. That's why it is very important to choose one side of ancestral memory, what you will develop. Okay, so let me give you a little story about myself where I again take myself as a study object so I can show you how ancestral memory works. So as I grew up in the Netherlands with my Dutch mom, I was growing up in the Dutch cities, and this particular story, I was living in Rotterdam, and I was walking on the Strevelsweg. And if you know Rotterdam and Strevelsweg, you know that in the early 90s, the Strevelsweg got an upgrade. So a lot of the streets were open. So you have to go back to that time. If you know about that time, it's nice. You can a little bit visualize my life at that moment in time. I was around 10, 11 years old, and my mom sent me to the just to the shop. It's more for only vegetables, and to get potatoes. And as I walked back, I put the potato bag on top of my head, and I was carrying it, and I was so happy, and I felt so proud, and I imagined myself that I was the best one in carrying something on her head, and if there was a competition, I would be the winner, because that is what I was imagining. I was feeling so great, so wonderful. Mind you that I grew up in a culture where nobody carries nothing on their head. Everybody carries everything just in a plastic bag, and also the potato bag had a handle for me to carry it, but I put it on top of my head and I felt wonderful doing it. Fast forward, I am 41 or 40, yes, I'm 42 years old, and I'm coming to Ghana for the very first time to bury my grandmother. And as I entered Ghana, I see everybody walking with things on their head, selling, and I mean, I see eggs, I see sunglasses, I see pillows, I see duvets, I see candy, cookies, water. I mean, they carry complete stores on top of their head, and I was so impressed. And right away, it brought me back to the memory of myself being 10, 11 years old and being so happy, walking with my potato bag on my head, feeling myself so great, and I'm the greatest, carrying things on my head. And I realized, like, I'm in my dream. I'm there now where I'm supposed to be, that where this desire inside of me of carrying things on my head is now normal, and everybody does it. And it are actually those women that were carrying um, those things all upon their head that inspired me to become a better businesswoman because of Corona and pregnancy. I had been for 11 years on welfare. Um, as you can hear, my voice gets emotional because that is the beauty of ancestral memory. They inspired me, and I thought if they are in Africa and they are carrying this on their head and they are living without welfare in Africa, then I can survive without welfare in Europe. I can survive without welfare in Europe. I can make my own money because this is what my ancestors did. We walked on top of our head with our trade and we made our money. And my trade was Africa, and to teach about Africa and to teach the children all the beauty about Africa as the Pied Piper, inspiring everybody to love Africa and to return to Africa and make Africa better collectively again, Ubuntu. So I did the brave thing to step out of welfare. And every day out there, bringing my craft. It took 2 months and the war came out in Russia and Ukraine. And I said, I wanted to go back to Ghana within 5 years and bring my children home, but oh no, I'm going this August. And I worked and I brought my craft every day. I went out. I went on highways I was afraid of because going in trance or not, so driving is difficult for me. You know, when you're dealing with a bosom, you don't have not always control when the energies are coming and when the information are going. And so it is very difficult when you are driving. But I did it every day. I drove and I brought my craft. I told them in August I will leave to go live in Ghana with my children in February, and I did. I came out of welfare in November 2021. In February 2022, I said I will go to Ghana in August, and August 2022, 1 year after I buried my grandmother, digged with my hand in the dirt of Africa to bury my grandmother that I never met in life. I prepared her body, I touched her body and prepared her for her last journey in Ghana. I connected my ancestral memory, connected with the land, my ancestral memory connected with my bloodline. And I made it back exactly 1 year after with my children. I went back in October and I brought in November back my firstborn. 4 children. I came all the way from Aruba, brought them to the Netherlands. All the time I was on welfare. And then from the Netherlands to Africa. Ancestral memory. You see? Now my children are in Africa. And I will show you a picture of my own children. Now carrying water bags on their head. It's their life. It is normal. They don't have to feel strange that they carry something on their head because they are living in their original habitat that is linked to their ancestral memory, their biological setup. because I remembered, even though I did not grow up with my African roots, I remembered because of my ancestors. I was not born in Neter. Neter was born within me. I was not born in Africa. Africa was born in me. I am one with my ancestors. I'm living the life that they left, and I went on. I went on the journey, and now my children are taking the next journey with them, and all the memories that we are creating, they are going with our offsprings. And that is how we will live forever. Eternal life, immortality. My Nyami does not die. That's why I will never die. Neter does not die. That's why I will never die. Piao.